Hello, welcome. I'm Rachel Archelaus, founder of the Intuitive Art Academy. And I should start saying it, Archelaus, the Institute of Multidimensional Living. We're going to get there. We're going to show you our whole rebrand process. But I also have with me the amazing Carrie Roldan, your business BFF and just magical human, leader of teams.
It's interesting that I know we didn't mean to start here. And I'm just going to steal your thunder. And Rachel just told me what we're talking about. So I'm going to announce it to you all because we're talking about the power of desire today. But you just said something that already I'm like, oh, it's happening. And I love that. I love when we have a desire and things evolve beautifully. So you were talking about Archelaus and the rebrand. And wouldn't you know, right in front of me, and even the way you introduced me and kind of stumbled over how to introduce me, is me recognizing like, oh, I'm in the middle of a rebrand. You guys, I didn't even know it until it just kind of started happening. And I totally have like in front of me, oh, this is more me now. This is me, my brand catching up with me catching up with myself, all the same thing, but kind of all sparked from a desire that the desire wasn't for the rebrand. Does that make sense? Like the desire is much bigger, but here we are. So anyways, look at that. We're already aligned. That's all I want to say. Stealing your thunder.
No thunder stolen. No thunder stolen. That's why you're here. Yeah, you guys, I just want to be really candid with you. And the word desire was like a bad word for me for a really, really long time. I mean, we're talking like up until like 2014, 15. And I just, as a spiritual being, look, I've been one of those really serious spiritual people my entire life. I was born into this, like seeing, beyond and communicating with loved ones, with other people's. It's a very kind of like somber, serious thing. I felt like I was a burden on this planet for a long time. Like I just had that energy until sort of recently, 2014 isn't that recent anymore, but in the grand scheme of things. And desire was like, if you're a Buddhist, if you've studied Buddhism, desire is like the enemy number one. Desire is like the pathway to hell, like it's a selfish thing. It's an irresponsible thing. And it's going to get you in a lot of trouble. It's going to cause suffering. And so I was never a Buddhist, but I fell into that way of thinking, and that you should just be happy with what you have, and that needs to be good enough. And I remember the moment that I realized that that was causing my suffering, because my soul, my natural energy wanted to expand. So for me, desire is the natural expression of our soul's desire and natural inclination to expand. We can't help but expand. So if we're expanding up here, but we're holding ourselves here, we're not going to feel very good. And that's exactly where I found myself. And then desire unfolded for me in so many positive ways that I'm sure we'll get into. But I just want to let you know, like, if you're in that camp, I totally get you.
You know what's funny is for me that word, and this is where I think words are super powerful. So I never saw like desires themselves as inherently bad the way that you described it, right? I've read a lot of things that like that, but it never landed in me quite the same way. But for me, desire was that was like dirty sexual desire. Like it was like I think part of growing up in the time that I grew up and the way that I grew up was like being proper meant not having desire like in that way. So like having things that you wanted, that was fine, but don't be too big for your britches. But like the word desire for me brought up like lust and it's just sinfulness in a different way. So same, it took me it took me a minute to get where Guillaume is talking about in the comments, saying desire is a powerful word when it comes to manifestation. And in that book, he actually talks about making sure that we express our desires and not our wants, for the same reason of semantics and what those words brought up in him. So I find it all interesting.
Yeah, I know. And that's the thing with like living in this quote unquote physical world and talking about vibrational concepts, because words mean different things to different people. We're the ones that assign meaning to things here. So want, desire, need, all of those words can mean one thing, but often to people they don't. So yeah, we're not really going to get into all of that today, but I want to share my turning point with you. I remember I was finishing my degree, living with Eric in Southbury, Connecticut, not doing any coaching or readings or any psychic stuff. I didn't have a business at the time because I was just focusing on school. And I had that, like, I have everything I could ever possibly want. I have someone amazing in my life, supporting me, loving me, letting me finish this degree. I love school. I loved it. It was so much fun. I'd never had that opportunity to go to school like that because I'd always had to work at the same time. But I was really unhappy at the same time, actually quite depressed, and realizing that I needed more in my life to feel good and that it was okay to want more. But I didn't really connect with desire at that time. I just connected with like, okay, I need more in my life to feel fulfilled. But a few years later, I was about to interview Christina Marassi for the Intuitive Art Show. And she was all about desire and feminine desire and like letting your genitals speak to you, you know? And I was like, not really on board with it. I was like, yeah, I don't think that, that part of you should be running your life. Like, I don't know about that, you know? And then I did an intuitive art drawing of what desire is. And you might have seen me post this on our socials at certain times, but it basically said that desire brings you to your truth. And I was like, oh shit, I can't argue with that. Like, I really thought about it. I really thought about what I've really truly desired in my life. And that, yeah, that brings me to me. It helps me find and live my potential, which is like all I ever wanted to do in life. I just want to like live out my potential. And so I totally changed my tune about desire. And I have a lot of friends in the like sacred sexuality space, and they talk about the sexual energy as being your truth and what helps you manifest. And yes, that's the physical manifestation of it, that whole body tingly feeling. I just see it as your energy. Like, it is sexual, but it's, I think on this world, more semantics. We think about it in terms of sex, but it doesn't have to be that at all. But yeah, we're all talking about the same thing. We're all talking about the full body yes and desire, and that is alignment. So, I mean, I don't know if there's anything more powerful than alignment.
Well, I would argue that there's not. Well, as powerful as alignment, I suppose, is, no, I was going to say being out of alignment, but when you're out of alignment, you're in alignment with what you don't want. So you're still, one semantic thing that was really helpful for me. Actually, I think it was our friend Dawn Andrews told me this. She's like, oh yeah, I looked it up, or someone told her. She said, desire. Now that I'm saying this, am I wrong? I could be wrong, but hear me out on this. She said it means to sire. In other words, to create. And I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? Right. And what you said, I really love. I think it's funny that you said, like, I can't argue with that. It's like, well, it came from intuitive art. Like, you can't argue with it. Oh, there it is. You're muted.
I know, I didn't say anything. I just showed you.
Oh.
Yeah, in our BFF Oracle deck, there's a card that says, "What do I desire? Breathe into sire."
To sire. See, I was right. But I love that you said desire brings you to your truth. Like when you say that out loud, I mean, doesn't that resonate? And what that got me thinking about is, my feelings about like desire and sexual desire being dirty and like all of that stuff. And yet it brings you to your truth. And that's what, if you allow yourself that, right? Oh, this is making me yawn. You get the full body. Yes, but that's not where I was going. Where I was going was just like, oh, that is all part of us just awakening to who we are and not having shame. And yeah. I didn't know we were going here today, but so good.
Yeah, I agree. I think, we put it with the sexuality because we're so repressed as a people about that. And if we would just make that a regular part of our life to be okay to desire those things and act on them, however it fits into our lives, like it wouldn't be such a big deal. It would just be another celebrated part of who we are. And luckily there are so many pioneers in that space who are like helping to make it normal and wonderful and loving like it is. And yeah, Guillaume, I love that you have so many desires enough to write a book. So, and I know you do write books, so that's amazing. That's your alignment right there.
So let's talk about, if you don't mind, desire bringing you to your truth. Let's talk about the. So what I like about this conversation is this idea that we're always going to have desires. That when you get something, which we all know, when you really want something and then you get it, it's not like you never want anything ever again, right? Even though, I mean, how many times did you say that as a kid? Or like, I just want this, I want it so much. I'll never want anything ever again, right? Like, that's not real. And I don't know, there's something coming up in me about the evolution of desire and the evolution of ourselves and our truth, and where our desires are always taking us to our truth. And you said, I just want to live out my potential. And how do we do that, Rachel?
Yeah, well, we follow what feels good, right? So I guess I'll just go into the story of the house, should I? And then you can tell your story of your truck if you want to.
Oh yeah, okay.
So this whole concept was really put in my face recently. It's still ongoing as well. And Eric and I were looking for houses in Connecticut to either purchase as like an investment home, or like a second home, or to move. And I had looked at hundreds and hundreds of homes and nothing was really calling to me. There were, some I would like live in, but I wasn't really excited about it. So my dream kept evolving. First, it was just a house near the beach, and then it was a farm, and then it was like, I don't even know what I want anymore. And then I found it. It was the most perfect house I've ever seen. It's a mid-century modern home near the airport, on top of a mountain, overlooking all of the Connecticut Valley. It has multiple gardens, patios, like buildings on it. It has so much, everything that I've ever wanted in a house. I wrote that down on my whiteboard. Everything I've always wanted. And I just didn't know where it fit in. It was more than we were looking to pay for a second home. And it wasn't updated enough for Eric to want to move into it as a home right now. And so I just fell in love ravenously with this house. And I was like, it has to work out somehow, but I don't know how. And so I just kept taking one step after another. And I did all the things out of order. I got it inspected before I made an offer. I went to see it. without Eric. Like, I just did all the things that I could possibly do that were coming up, one step at a time. And it's still on the market. It's been on the market for like 4 months. So I'm like, well, I don't know how this house fits into my life, but it fits in somehow. And then I realized, after kind of doing some investigating on my own, first of all, I asked my intuitive art, what next? Like, I was out of steps. Like, what is my next step? And so this is saying dreaming and alignment. So I went to my whiteboard and I just wrote down all the things that I'm currently doing in my business. That was just what came out. And then I drew a blue cloud and I somehow wrote headquarters on it. And that's when it clicked. The desire for this house led me to the next evolution of my business and solved a problem that I've been trying to figure out for like 6 years, because I have all of these things that I do. And I would show up to my mastermind group every few months and be like, you guys, I know there's something. I know there's a container for this. What is it? What is it? And it took the desire of this house to help me get to this big turning point in my business and life and personhood and potential and all of that. So I just can't look away from desire anymore, because it's so powerful in helping us allow the manifestation of who we are. So that's my house story.
What I like about this story, and what I'm thinking about as we're talking, is how you can simultaneously hold desire and contentment. And I think that that is the thing that maybe is missed a lot of the time, is that like you were leaning into desire not from a place of being completely unfulfilled. You know, you were leaning into desire from a place of relaxed, content, curiosity at some points. My story is similar in that I recently, did I talk about on this? Did I talk about how I manifested a truck? Like, I was in the process. Can't remember if I talked on one of these live streams.
I don't think so. Maybe you mentioned it a little bit, but we've definitely come a lot farther in the process. So
Okay, well, so you guys have probably heard me talk about how this house came to be and how I really wanted it. And then when it started to come to be, like, immediately resisted it. And like, so I had a similar experience. I've had similar experiences happen with my last couple of cars. And what happens is just always interesting to me. So what is showing up for me around cars is that oftentimes is the first sign of a major upgrade, right? Like, my desire is next level living, right? My desire is to step into even more worthiness, even more abundance, even more like just awesomeness, right? Like more of the lifestyle that I always talk about it in Kardashian terms. So more of the Kardashian lifestyle that I am dreaming of. And so the last time this happened, we needed to buy a car suddenly. We realized that my car, the car that I was currently driving, needed some repairs that were going to cost more than we felt that the car was worth. So we're like, okay, we need to sell the car. We need to buy a new one. And we're going out of town in like 2 days. So we have to do it. Was like very sudden. And I remember at that time feeling like, okay, well, we have money set aside and I'm comfortable paying X amount of dollars for a car. And so I will find one that fits into that. And I did, and I found it, and I tried to make myself feel okay with it. I really did. I was like, this is fine. It's a used minivan. It's fine. It is utilitarian. I'm driving like I wanted to make myself okay with that car, and it made sense and it ticked all the boxes, and I could not get myself to buy it. And my husband was like, well, let's just look at the nicer one. He's really good at that. He's really good at picking the nicer things. And so I did, and I like was like, oh yeah, this one. And at the time, it wasn't that much more, and like, you know, it wasn't that big of a stretch. So anyways, I've been driving around that amazing minivan for a really long time. It was super nice. My kids called it the bougie minivan. And then, for no reason at all, the bougie minivan decided to stop cooperating. And she did something where, actually, before she did that, I was writing in my journal that morning things I want. Like, I felt the nudge to like write a little list of things I want in my life. And I don't remember what all the other things on the list were. While you were talking, I was like, is my journal close enough that I could reach it? Oh, I just saw it. It's behind here. So when next time you're talking, I'll look and see if I can find the list. But so I wrote a list of things. And one of the things that I was like, oh, I think I want was a truck. And I flashed in my brain, I saw a white Tacoma at that time. That was it. Just went on doing my other things. Well, that day, the minivan decided she was done. She was not going to cooperate with me anymore and had weird electrical things happening. Like the car locked me out of it. It was just doing funny things. So, whatever. I didn't like think that I was getting a car right that second, but it did. Like I had that like, oh man, like it wasn't like it wasn't excited. It was like, oh, damn it. I just manifested a truck. This like I went to that place. So long story longer is that I really then went into like my sort of fear, my does this make sense right now? My husband just bought a new car. Like, what about my son's going to need it? Like all the things. The problem was, right? Like I had a desire for very specific, bigger, better, nicer. I had some utilitarian reasons for wanting this car. And it took a while. It didn't all come at once. The white Tacoma was not the car that I wound up with. It was the car that it was the re-manifestation of the minivan I wouldn't let myself buy. But you guys know right now, well, maybe you don't, at least here in the US, I imagine it's worldwide. Cars are like a hot commodity, and getting exactly what you want is you have to order it and wait, or so I thought. Anyways, my husband was like, hey, here's a car. It ticks all your boxes. And while he was looking at it, I'm like, that does not tick all my boxes. That does not tick all my boxes. And he's like, well, you can't have everything you want. Like it ticks enough of them. And I was like, well, that's rich. Coming from you, the guy who just waited 2 years on the Ford Bronco list to get exactly what he wanted. So this thing, what I'm getting at is it brought together a lot of my desires. Like I wound up getting the perfect truck, exactly what I wanted, had everything I needed and wanted and more. It took looking at 3 different trucks until the one that was mine, like actually found me. It took me letting go of resistance and relaxing into worthiness. Like, honestly, the path of least resistance for me was a winding one. It was like, but it took me exactly where I needed to go. And it knocked off a lot of my desires, like my desire to express myself more clearly and fully to my husband, my desire to not settle, my desire to up level, right? Like all of these things happened. And one of the biggest thing was I have a desire to allow more money in. And while I know this isn't always the case for everyone, with me, that often involves letting money out. So, so that's the story of my new truck. It's here in my front yard now. Not in my front yard, in my driveway.
I love it. And I think that is such a good point to bring up. So why is desire so powerful? It's not just because of what you get physically from it. It's who you become in allowing it. Right? Both of us had to be much more clear in our communication. We've had to, do things that we wouldn't normally do, like go to a dealership, talk to finance people. I've had to talk to the city to see if I could have my business there. And I talk to inspectors and all kinds of things. Like, but in the doing of it while you're in the desire, it doesn't feel hard. Or at least it didn't to me. It felt like, oh, well, now I just need to do this. And now I need to ask this. And now I need to learn that. And the hard part was not feeling too attached. The hard part was not feeling defeated if something didn't go my way. I had to do a lot more meditating, a lot more appreciating. And there were times when it just felt natural to be relaxed about it, but there were times when I felt really off kilter too. So it's been such an amazing up-leveling process of just my muscle of allowing and being comfortable with one step at a time. I'm still in this, and you'll be in this with me too. So I haven't found that full manifestation yet, but it is done. It feels complete. And whether it is this actual property or something else, I now know what my business evolution is. I now know we are going to have a headquarters. I now know that we'll be hosting retreats and things like that. Like it's all of that is completely done. And now I'm just following through with step by step to see how it unfolds. So it's definitely upped my game of allowing and worthiness and expectation and all of the things that help in every other area of life.
Well, and let's talk about some of the things that have come from that, right? So this desire for a house, like this is the cool part about our higher selves and how everything works, right? It's like there's always many things happening at once. But that was the path of least resistance to where you are right now. And the path of least resistance still has some resistance on it, but like the seed of the desire was like, oh, just follow this breadcrumb, right? Like suddenly we want a property in Connecticut. Like I remember when you were there, I was like, what? You're like, we might be moving. I was like, no, you're not moving. Like, what? No. But like that was the seed of desire you needed to get you on this path that brought you to the business clarity that you desired, that brought you to, I want to say a decision point, but I don't know if it was really a decision, like more like the next step, the necessity of embodying more of your CEO self. Right. And both of us, it brought us to the place of like more loving, clear, empowered communication with our partners. That was a desire we had that was definitely not top of mind, right? We were both happy in our relationships, but now, like, bonus, this level of communication was something we both wanted and didn't really know we wanted. Oh, that helped. And with Archelaus Institute, the stuff that is coming up, you guys, I just read, because so Rachel and I have been talking about this and I've been getting really, really excited, but she just sent me a document kind of like with bullet points of everything. And I was like, oh, hot damn. And me being involved with that and getting excited about that, right? That causes me to up my game and know, like, right? Like there's this stair-stepping ripple effect happening as a result of just leaning into that little seed of desire for a new house, right? There was little resistance there. And by leaning into that path of least resistance in one place, sure, more resistance has come up for both of us, but we're already right. We're already leaning into it. And because of that, so much has opened up. And that's really cool. To where here I am, this is where we started. Like, I didn't know that I wanted a rebrand. I didn't know. And just a couple of days ago, I was like, oh man, I really got to update my website. Like, I've been ignoring it for a long time. Don't go there right now, you guys. But I've been ignoring it for a really long time. And then suddenly, boom, there it was. Oh, this is how I need to do it. This is what that has come from you wanting the house, me being involved in you and your business, me like stepping up into who I need to to be involved at the level I'm going to be involved in with Archelaus, and then boom, right here that is. And I think that is cool.
Yes, me too. I really, 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 really love how interconnected everything is. And I also love, like, we have friends in our mastermind who've leveled up in the past year, and that has helped us level up. And like, you're here on our live stream listening to us, so you're leveling up. Like, we're all doing it together. And I also love how our product together is called the Aligned Up Level, because we're still aligned up leveling. It's really great. And not only that, like when we were talking about vision last week, um, that's connected. I find desire helped me get to vision for sure. But again, I want to say with desire, some people I think have this idea of desire, and it could manifest like that for them, of taking you in the wrong direction, right? Of like desiring things just because other people do, desiring the wrong things, desiring things for, vanity or status. But I made a video many, many, many years ago. I remember Carrie really liked it. It was about how like your ego can help you become more of yourself. And so I just want to say, if you have a fear of desire, a fear of wanting things for the wrong reasons, like you can do the yes no technique to see if something's really for you, which I lean on still. But also, like, you can't make that big of a like detour from yourself. You'll know. You will definitely feel it. So go with it. Go with your excitement. Oftentimes I wait to ask myself if something's really for me because I'm just so excited about it. And I just want to live in that excited energy for a while. And then if I find out like it's really not for me, it's easy to let it go. But I feed off of that excited energy. And I just let myself revel in it when it comes up. That desire feeling, it feels so good sometimes. So don't be afraid of your ego. Don't be afraid of wanting things for the wrong reasons. Like, this idea too, like I work with really, really conscious, aligned, amazing people who are often afraid of being visible, who are often afraid of wanting attention or liking attention. And I just want to let you know, like, you might be here for that. Like, there's nothing wrong with liking attention and wanting to be center stage and wanting to be visible. There's nothing wrong with being afraid of that either, but it's just you looking away from yourself. So be really easy on yourself. Like, this is a fun place to be. This planet. Why do you think Intimate Alien comes here so often, right? It is fun to be here, and manifestations and desire are just a really big part of that.
You said something about ego and desire. Oh, people being afraid of wanting things for the wrong reasons. I heard this a while ago. I think it was Denzel Washington. It was like a speech he gave at a graduation, and he said it in this way. He said, if that desire, that thing that you have. So in my terms, I would use different words, but these were his these are his paraphrased words. That desire, that thing that you want, that feeling inside of you. That feeling is your connection with the God who put that desire there. Now, what I would say, or maybe what you said, Rachel, is that that's what you're made of. That's the stuff you're made of. That's your truth. That's the real you. But that feeling of like, and I want to clarify as I'm talking about this, it's the spark of joy that comes with desire. It's maybe that feeling that people identify with like sexual desire, that like turned on feeling, that like we get that about ideas all the time that like make you feel good inside. That's what I'm talking about. And I think that there is also a link for a lot of people that desire means like wanting something that you can't have. But I guess what I'm getting at is this. If you have that good feeling of desire, it can't be for the wrong reason, right? Rachel had that feeling about a house. Was it for the wrong reason? She followed it and it led to a different reason, but it's not wrong. It can't be. I see lots going on in the chat though.
Yeah, so Guillaume is listing his desires, which is amazing. If you're here, feel free to do the same. We'd love to see what you are wanting. And yeah, so I know, Guillaume, you've had these desires for a while, and I think a lot of us feel like we've been carrying around a lot of desires. Like Carrie and I both, we've been talking about this for years, about like what abundance we're looking for and what maybe perks of that we would want to experience. And so feel free to put them out there. I also want to say, like, if you've had something for a long time, some desire, also know, like what Carrie was saying, it's because it's you. It's your truth to want that. It's your truth to have that. And your multidimensional experience is already at work there. You already have that in your higher dimensional energy where there's no resistance. And just like with this house and with this truck, we have had to up our communication game. We've had to tap in more to our worthiness. We've had to up level our vibration in order to match it. And that's what we all have to do in order to achieve anything. So if you have a really big list, ask yourself, well, where do I need to be at vibrationally to sync up with this? Because if this is done for me, if this is my truth, where do I need to go to meet this? And do that. And it's going to require some physical actions along the way, like us reaching out to different people, like going and actually looking at trucks and houses and all of that. But to actually let it in is an inside job. And you will receive the next step, the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step. This is not I'm going to give you the whole map, kiddo, from your higher self. It is one thing right after another that you need to keep up with. This is a journey.
I really like what you said about we have to match that. And for me, that means I'm good at matching it when I'm sitting in meditation or when I'm sitting and journaling. Like, I'm really good at matching it at those times. But I have a story of a lottery win where I experienced myself in real time doing something differently, right? Because when we talk about our desires and we talk about living vibrationally, like, yeah, for sure, it helps a lot to meditate. A lot, because it gets you to, it lowers your resistance. It gets you to the place of receiving, right? So here's what happened for me. Just recently, after all of this, part of the snowball effect of everything happening, is a new book falls into my life. That is another book on wealth, abundance, receiving, etc. It's great. It's amazing. There aren't any like particularly new ideas in it for me, but obviously this is for me. So as I'm reading this book, it's talking about concepts that then are hitting me again, that I'm reminded of, that I'm receiving again, that I'm integrating again in a new way and on a new level. As a result, this whole truck thing happened, I think, as after this, or this happened during the whole thing. But the other day, here I am saying, I want to live more abundantly. I want to live in a new realm of abundance. So I go into the grocery store, right? I can't go into the grocery store the same way I always go into the grocery store if I want to live at a new level of abundance, if I want to live at a new level of abundance, I need to live at a new level of abundance. So I'm in the grocery store and I'm buying the things that I need, and I'm reminding myself, like, isn't it amazing that I can totally afford all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I have this desire for a lottery win. And so I'm at the store and they have one of those like lottery machines there. And I look at it and I get like a little zing, right? I get this little like spark of desire and excitement about one particular ticket. And it's a scratcher. I don't normally buy the scratchers. And if I do, I normally buy like the $1 ones. Like maybe I'll splurge on like a $10 scratcher. So I look at the scratcher and I'm living like an abundant person, right? So I'm like, I'm going to get that. And then I look at it, it's a $30 scratcher. And I'm like, that's like $30 whole dollars, right? But I was excited about it. So I tried to talk myself out of it. I was like, okay, well, I go into my wallet. I'm still like, sure, I'll do $30. I have 30 extra dollars. I can do that. So I attempt to get myself to do it, but I don't have $30 cash in my wallet. I don't have a $10 bill. I have $20 bills. So that means these machines, they don't give you change. They're sneaky like that. So if you put $40 in, you have to spend $40. So then I was like, I'm not spending $40. Only I look at the $20 version of that ticket because there's another one almost the same that costs $20. I'm not excited about it. I cannot make myself buy it. So I'm like, what the hell? I'm living abundantly. I had also made a declaration in my journal that same day that when I spend $1.03, come back to me. Because I feel like that's a good way to live, right? So I declared that. I'm like, okay, Carrie, whatever, walk your talk. Don't be attached, recognize, be grateful that you can put $40 into this machine and your life is pretty much unaffected. So I put $40 in the machine. I buy the $30 ticket I want and 2 other tickets that I just realized I haven't checked yet. So I'm now excited to check those tickets. But like, I'm playful in my getting of these things. I'm grateful in the doing of it. And I get home and I start scratching off the scratcher. And the very first thing I scratched, I won $100. And then in the course of scratching it, I won another $100. So $200, because that was, I have a desire for more abundance, but I had to come from a place of more abundance in order to receive it. Had I gone to my old self, I would have bought that $20 scratcher, or I would have talked myself out of it altogether. And would my life be terrible? No, my life's amazing, but I wouldn't be sitting here $200 richer. And that brought me so much more than $200, right? Because it helped me remember my desires lead me to my truth. I had a spark of desire for that shiny ticket. That's enough.
Yes. Yeah, that is really the gift. The gift is in noticing the feeling inside of yourself. That is the manifestation. And whatever is within must be without. So whatever you have going on in here has to show up for you, which is why I'm not worried about this house or whatever headquarters we're going to have, because I've already gone there. I'm there. And if you're in your life wanting things and you're not feeling there, that's your indication of what work you need to do. Like, you know what? I actually am really doubtful that this is going to happen, or I'm definitely not expecting it. I'm not seeing it happening in my future. So that is the work you need to do. And it is what we help people do in our coaching. Carrie and I coach together privately with people. We also have a group coaching program, which is absolutely fantastic. It is very affordable for what it is. We have 3 calls a month for different things: dream casting, coaching, and intimate alien. And there is thousands of dollars worth of courses that you have access to as well. And what I want to say about that too is we both have a friend who's in a very expensive group coaching program right now and is actually disappointed in the lack of support and live calls. And so that one is probably at least 4 times what we're charging for tuition. So if you want to check it out and join us, it is intuitiveart.com/membership. And we'd be happy to work with you on this and help steer you in the right direction and physically help you immerse yourself in this new vibration so that you can match it and get what you want, because that is our joy completely. And it is what happens in our group. We could be here for hours and days talking about all the manifestations that our clients get. So yeah, definitely feel free to join us there. intuitiveart.com/membership.
I would say don't just feel free to join us there if you have the desire,
Yeah.
right? If while Rachel was talking just now, you felt that spark, that lift, it's for you. It's the next step, right? It's the leaning into the house in Connecticut or the relaxing into, okay, $30 on a lottery ticket, right? It's that. If you feel that yes inside of you, that's your truth speaking to you. And this is the next step on the path to wherever it is that you're going, wherever the big vision is taking you. And I want to tell you that nothing has been more valuable on my journey to abundance, not even like entrepreneurship and all of that, but just nothing has been more valuable on my journey to abundance and peace and ease and freedom and joy than surrounding myself with other people who make that a priority. And that's really what this group is. Like there's amazing coaching, like there's really cool stuff in there. But it's the group itself. It's the people that are in the group that make it incredible, at least for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. So in the past year, I have really upped my coaching fee, and we haven't changed the investment in the group. And so right now it feels very different. And so it totally feels like a steal to get this group coaching from us at what it is right now. And so I would definitely check it out. I don't know what we're going to do with the tuition on that, but right now it is a really, really, really good price for exceptional coaching.
Well, I was going to say, I already know, Rachel, is that we are going to up the price for sure and probably suddenly attract a lot more people when we do it. So if you're a bargain shopper, now's the time.
Yes, I know. I'm a discount bargain queen too. I love a good deal. So you can definitely say that this is what it is at the moment. Yeah. So come a long way for desire. Definitely has helped me almost more than anything else on this journey, because it's so fun. It's so easy. We're meant to desire, and it takes a lot of energy to dampen it. So the minute you're just like, all right, whatever, I'm just going to go with my desires, or I'm going to allow myself to have them at least, you are going to instantly raise your vibration because you're not trying to dampen yourself anymore in that area. So definitely give it a shot. Let us know how it goes for you. I don't know, Carrie, I'm feeling pretty complete. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel amazing. I guess I'll close with desire hasn't, like you were like, it's so easy, it's so fun. For me, it is still, it feels really good, and it's still not as natural as it will soon be, right? It still requires me to, and that's what I was talking to you, Guillaume, like it still requires me to go through a process of aligning myself with being okay with following my desires. And that's why I told the lottery ticket story, right? Like it could have been really easy to fall back into my lifelong habits, right? And one of my lifelong habits is to deny myself. It's a lifelong habit, right? It doesn't really matter where that comes from, except for that is conditioned in me. Like, be selfless. Don't give in to your desires, right? Like, and so I want to say that, like, it does feel good, and it hasn't been easy, but it's worth it. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Yeah. Agreed. For sure. Yeah. Raising your vibration often takes some effort. right? And it's probably the only time that I would really recommend efforting to do something to a degree, right? You really need to start learning how to feel how you feel if you're not good at that, or having some kind of system or process for understanding your own feedback system. I know some people have a really hard time feeling in their body, just like I have a really hard time seeing in my mind, right? Like we're all compensating for how we're built. But if you can tap into how you really feel about something in whatever way you can, that is your best instrument for moving forward and getting what you want. So hopefully we've given you some tools to do that over time. I know our aligned up level events definitely focus a lot on that. So yeah, we're so happy that you may be allowing more desires to flow and seeing new fancy things in your life, whatever that may be.
I feel like, Rachel, pretty soon we're going to need to have one of these conversations on celebration.
Oh, yeah.
I feel
Well,
like that might.
I guess I'll spill the beans. I mean, you guys, I've been teasing this for a while because I'm just like one of those people who wants to go and like do the things. But, I'm working with the energy here. So I am going to be having a crowdfunding campaign to raise the portion of funds that are required for updating this house to be our headquarters. So that's going to happen. I will slowly roll it out over the next week, but it's officially happening in 2 weeks. And it's just going to be so much fun. We're going to have so much fun content for you and interactions and coaching and readings. And it's going to be amazing. And we're just going to open things up to contribute and to actually join Archelaus, the Institute of Multidimensional Living. So you'll see things popping up over time, but I think after that, perfect time for a celebration call.
All right, let's do it.
All right. Well, we love you guys. We could obviously talk to you forever, but we will see you next week, and who knows what that will be. So take care. We love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.